We are here with Richard Mitzel, a personal injury lawyer with an office in Spring Hill, Florida. Rick, how are you this morning?
Good, Pip. How are you?
Excellent, thanks. So I just want to take a few minutes this morning to talk a little bit about your practice, and I know personal injury cases are your focus. So tell us a little bit about that area of your practice, and kind of what kind of cases you see most and what you handle.
Well, I've been practicing law for over 35 years, and pretty much all of it has been in the personal injury field, whether it be workman's compensation or personal injury death cases or medical malpractice or automobile. I've handled them all over the years. I've been trying cases up in Hernando County now, as I say, for probably over 30 years. And I'm affiliated with Joe Mason and his law firm also in Brooksville, as well as my office in Spring Hill. I'm an AV rated lawyer by Martindale-Hubbell. The A means for legal ability, and the other V is for very high ethics. And I've been so rated for about 35 years now. I'm also a member of the National Trial Lawyers Organization, which is an invitation-only legal organization of plaintiff lawyers throughout the country that are invited to join and are considered to be, very good personal injury lawyers, if not the best in the area. My primary practice in personal injury deals with automobile cases. There are many more automobile cases than malpractice cases and so forth and so on. And I've been dealing with those, again, for a number of years. I originally was a defense lawyer for about 6 years and couldn't stand working for insurance companies. And I got out of that business and went on the other side, which is much more enjoyable. It's much more fun to win a case for a client who's got a disability, has been hurt in an accident, than it is for some insurance company that just makes a check mark and goes on to the next case. Besides handling automobile cases, death cases, motorcycle cases, I also handle medical malpractice cases. They're very difficult anymore. The legislature has changed the law numerous times in favor of the hospitals and the doctors. They're afraid they'll leave our community if they have big judgment rendered against them. So it's very difficult. There's a number of hoops and jumps that you have to make to even get into a lawsuit. And even then, they reject you. I have a case right now where a young man was on the emergency room, operating room table to take something out of his throat, and the nurses let him fall to the ground. And he busted up his knee, even though he was totally unconscious. And I filed a letter of intent, which is something you must do before you can actually sue a medical provider. And they rejected it, saying the nurses weren't at fault. It was the doctor's fault that the patient fell, which is utter nonsense. And I wrote a letter to the surgeon, and he laughed with me. He says, I have nothing to do with that. That's the nurses that position the patient and make sure he doesn't fall. My job is to get this thing out of the guy's throat that he ingested while eating some chicken. So it's a very difficult thing. The only kind of cases that malpractice lawyers take are those where it's absolutely clear-cut liability. But even then, as you can see, when they have you fall down, they still fight you. And where the damages are very great. The reason being they're very hard cases. Economically, they can cost $50,000 to $100,000 in expenses alone. They can take 2 years or more to prosecute. So very few malpractice cases are handled anymore, which was the intent of the legislature in the first place, to deny citizens benefits when they're hurt by doctors. Also, over the years, I've handled railroad cases. You don't hear too much about them anymore, but a number of years ago in the Tampa area, I handled a case where a man, car stalled out on the railroad tracks, and his wife and 2 babies were in the car. He jumped out the back, tried to push it off the track, couldn't do it. They were killed, and he was almost killed himself, but he made it. They fought me in that case too, but we ultimately prevailed. There's a lot of slip and fall cases. There's cases of security situations in apartment houses where they're in a bad neighborhood. They know that there's crime activity in the area, and still they don't have protection, security officers, fences, etc., to protect these people. And many times young women will be raped, people will be robbed through no fault of their own. I've done some legal malpractice. Back in the day, I don't do too much anymore, but I felt I'd be a hypocrite if I sued doctors and other professionals and didn't sue people in my own profession. So I have done it, do it once in a while, but not too often. Again, the main thrust of my personal injury practice is automobile cases. But I do handle other things, slip and fall, etc. Got a gentleman who slipped and fell going down a ramp at a used car lot and badly injured his knee. He broke his patella, which is the kneecap, in 3 different places, and he's still laid up. And unfortunately for him, he lives over in Hernando Beach, and he lives in an upstairs house because of the flooding possibilities, and he can't go back and forth down these steps to lead a regular life now until this heals because he can't put pressure on this knee. So I've handled all kinds of cases. I've settled cases in the area for $3 million, and I've handled cases with jury verdicts that come close to that. And I'd be happy to talk to anybody in the Hernando County area or nearby counties about handling any kind of a case they might have. Just call me. I'll be glad to answer any questions you can if I can. If not, I'll get the answers for you. No charge. I look forward to speaking with you if you have any questions.
Well, great, Rick. I appreciate that info. And you know, I've known you for quite a while, and one of the things that I was always impressed with is you really take a very personal interest in the cases that you handle. You have a small boutique type firm, much different than the big guys that you see advertising on TV and billboards and all that. And you make yourself very accessible to your clients, isn't that right?
Well, I consider it a privilege when somebody sees me on Google or knows me from other situations and call me for help. I take that personally. I thank them for calling me, and I do everything I can to help them. And if I can't help them, I'm straightforward. I don't tell them. One law firm, it's interesting, one of the big advertisers, when people call them, they come out and talk to them, they reject them. And they never say, I don't think the case is worth it, or we don't think we can prove it. They always say, we have a conflict, and therefore, Mr. and Mrs., we can't handle your case. And I've always wondered, what is the conflict when a doctor commits malpractice on you? What's the conflict with some of these law firms that reject the cases? Again, it's nonsense. Tell the people straight out what the reasons are that you're not going to handle the case. Do not give them some con job and say, we'd love to help you, thanks for calling, but we have a conflict. That's nonsense. I talk to everybody that calls me. I return every single call that people call me about, and I discuss their case in detail, and then I give them an opinion which is honest and forthright about what the chances are of prevailing, why I can't handle a case if that's a situation, or if it's a matter that I just don't have the expertise in, I'll refer them to someone else who does have that expertise. I will not leave them hanging or give them a nonsense answer as to why I can't handle their case.
Well, Rick, thank you very much for that. And from my own standpoint, I would say I've worked with dozens of attorneys over the years, and Rick is an exceptional attorney. Not only is he knowledgeable and highly successful, but he'll treat you with respect, and I think that's what all of us want in that type of a situation. So, Rick, thanks a lot. Have a great day.
You too, Pat. Thank you.
All right, bye.
Bye.